Zimbabwe needs an estimated 15 to 20 years to clear its national housing backlog, which has been ballooning in recent years, pushed by the increased rural to urban migration.
My department is, as the name says, it's housing and community services. We have the housing division, which has one area which is the housing allocations and administration. We are basically responsible for the maintenance of the housing waiting list, from which we then assess the housing demand. That really informs us of what we have to deliver. And under that same section, there's also the housing administration. It basically looks at the rental housing stock that we have. It is also from where we carry out tasks like sessions which are basically the change of ownership for those who do not own title. Conveyancing issues where we are changing ownership for properties that have title, that is also the section that deals with that, including the administration of our council rental stock, which at the moment stands at just over 11,000.
The national housing backlog is currently estimated at 1.3 million, with Harare alone requiring about 500,000 units.
The department, for the current strategic plan, you find that we are running with 9 goals. 9 goals that are meant to ensure that by 2025 we will have attained a world-class city status. And the goals, I can disaggregate them into 3 groups. We have issues to deal with service delivery. We have one area that looks at resource management. And the last one that we had added to say we cannot talk of a world-class city when we have not modernized. So the third key result area is modernization. Under service delivery, we basically have 5 goals, where we are looking at increasing our current housing stock from around 300,000 to 325 in the next 3 years. And in this instance, we are really talking of world-class housing provision. The first thing that we are running with is urban renewal. We know that over the years, there has been urban blight, especially in our old residential areas. We are talking of Mbare. Under Mbare, we have Mbare Mukuvisi upgrading program, where we are looking at firstly ensuring that our hostels, they become family units. We will be touching on in situ upgrading. In situ upgrading, where we don't have to move those individuals to go elsewhere, but we are upgrading within that same area. We are densifying, we are building uprise buildings within certain open spaces, but also to the existing flats, we intend to configure the hostels so that they become family units in the first instance, but more importantly, with standalone amenities.
The City of Harare Housing and Community Services Division has decentralized, which allows citizens to easily visit district and sub-offices spread throughout the city.
Yes, in the City of Harare, for all of the 46 wards, we have 27 district offices, which are manned by 23 district officers, both in the low and high density areas. Apart from that, we've established 10 sub-offices, those which would act as intermediary administrative offices, which we've placed closer to the residents. so that residents do not take time to move from one office to the other in a way to cut costs on their part. So this is the total establishment of the district offices. Amongst other core functions, the district offices are the first port of call and are the face of council, and therefore they represent council within communities. Among some of the major functions are to interpret and implement council policies, resolutions and bylaws to the residents or to stakeholders. For example, majority of the community residents might not be aware of the correct interpretation of these council bylaws. I can give an example of tree bylaws, whereby residents can plant some trees outside their durables, and they think those trees, as they grow, they still own them. When it comes to cutting of those trees, irrespective of the fact that they planted them, they now belong to council. We have tree and planting bylaws which do not allow those trees to be cut off at any given time unless authorized by council. We have other bylaws which, with respect to road verges, whereby residents try to put some small stones within the road verges to beautify or to protect their lawns. And the bylaws specify that you are not allowed to put any stones or any barricades between the durable and the road verges and the road itself. So such interpretations would actually assist residents in making a correct interpretation of what the laws of council do dictate to them.
The process of applying for housing has also been streamlined, and the city of Harare explains the process of how easy it is now to apply for residential stands, how to acquire residential stands, or even how to rent from the council.
For one to acquire a residential stand, one has to be registered on the housing waiting list, and for one to be registered on the housing waiting list, one has to be above 18 years and above in terms of age. One has to be a resident of Harare, and one must not own a property within the areas covering Harare Combination Master Plan, that is within local authorities surrounding Harare, that is Epworth, Norton, Tungiza, and Rua. So after registration on the housing waiting list, one has to wait for a minimum period of 6 months, and within those 6 months we expect the individual to be mobilizing savings that will enable that person to be ready for residential development. Because the idea is, once we give you a residential stand, you must be ready to construct a house of your choice within the next 18 months. And that is the maximum permissible development period that we expect an individual to have constructed a house. And after registration on the housing waiting list, when stands are available, we invite applicants for residential stands. Upon invitation for applicants, we then interview the potential beneficiary for purposes of ensuring that the person qualifies for a residential stand. So when we invite the interview for interviews, we undergo a screening process, and the screening process is informed by one, we look at the scheme. Is it a high density residential scheme? Is it a medium density residential scheme? Or is it a low density residential scheme? So in each of the particular schemes, we design a fact paper that will tell us about the requirements of a potential beneficiary. For example, we are looking at the levels of earnings, because our schemes will run on the basis of contributions that are done monthly by beneficiaries. So we look at your earnings to determine whether or not you will be able to sustain your contributions in the housing scheme. We also look at the level of savings. So, and we also look at other attributes. For example, our policy says we give priority to single-headed families, particularly women-headed families. We also give priority to people living with disabilities. So we also, in the interview process, we then have to make an assessment whether one has those kind of circumstances. So if one is in such situations, that individual has a greater chance of acquiring the residual stamp. So basically the interview is about a screening process that we also do. And our process is such that for every residential stand, 3 potential beneficiaries contest for a particular stand. So that is the screening process from 3. So that is if we've got 10 stands, we then interview 30 people, where we will select the 10. And if one then declines, of the 10 that has been selected, if one declines the offer, we then have to re-offer to the second potential beneficiary from the interview process.
Furthermore, the Housing and Community Services Division has gone some way to automate the process, once more fulfilling their mandate of making it easier for residents to do business with council.
Yeah, we've been in the process of automating our housing waiting list, and in this process, at the moment, we have already designed a program that will use to capture all applicants for housing waiting list. But this system will be linked to our GIS system with our Department of Works. We anticipate that once we allocate a stand to an individual, that individual will be captured on our GIS system. And if that other individual would want to come and re-register, the system will deny a re-registration process. And we also have a system that we have designed it in such a way that it will then select individuals. We will feed information about the savings, about date of joining the waiting list, about earnings. Then the system will be able to select the beneficiaries on its own.
Council is also fully aware of the growth of entrepreneurs in the city. As the responsible division in Council, they are ensuring that there are adequate, well-serviced market sites for vendors within the city. As a way to alleviate the housing shortage, Harare City Council has also engaged and entered into public-private partnerships to service stands, build cluster houses and flats.
Like for instance, Coca-Cola, free market. We've got CBZ there, whereby we have engaged into an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. And we are busy right now, since our plans are at an advanced stage, and we are busy trying to come up with construction designs which are suitable to house both either commercial as well as the free markets. And then when it comes to other areas like the Shawasha grounds, meanwhile we've got some private partners who would want to assist us in coming out with a big shopping mall and also flea market space, which we think if completed by then, it will be able to accommodate a number of flea market traders in the area.
Contrary to the view by some of the settlers, Council is not moving in to destroy existing structures which had City of Harare approval, but would regularize them through construction of roads, schools, social amenities, and ensure proper water and electricity connections.
We have a goal in City of Harare whereby we have to ensure we meet the set target of improving service delivery or customer satisfaction levels to about 75% by 2020.
At the moment, we have 32 running primary schools, and we have 4 others under various stages of construction in Greater Harare. The primary schools start from the ECD classes up to grade 7, and also we do have standalone preschools which are running also ECD classes, ECD-A and ECD-B. These are 24. We've got 15 full-day care centers and we have 9 half-day care centers. The half-day care centers, we run them from the community centers. Then also under education, we've got vocational training centers, one in Mbare, one in Budiriro. We are offering various courses to empower mainly the youth and the women economically. We do have carpentry, welding, dressmaking, baking, interior decoration, and we offer a certificate at the end of 1 year for the vocational training center. We also run short courses around the communities. In education as well, we have libraries. We have 15 libraries in both the low density and high density areas. We have recently opened the Kwazana Library, which was one of our long-standing projects.
There is hope for those that are on the main housing waiting list for home ownership schemes. We have got a number of schemes that are lined up for development for housing, and we expect that we will have quite a good number of people who will be able to qualify for housing schemes that we have.
For all sports lovers out there, the City Council Housing and Community Services Division are responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of various stadia and halls throughout the city. Council wants to ensure that the facilities they run are at world-class standard.
We have the stadia, including Rufaro, Gwanzura, City Sports Center, Zarasekwa, and the famous Network Complex. Then we do have the open grounds, community grounds. Some of them, we call them the world grounds. They have a wall around and changing room facilities. The open grounds are just that, open grounds. Then we have swimming pools. We have 13 swimming pools in Harare. Yes, most of them are in the low density areas. In the high density areas, we do have the one in Mbare, Mfakose. So it's another area that we are focusing on so that the high density areas also get enough service in terms of swimming pools.
With the recreational facilities which we have what, 42 of them. Then within that group that is of recreational facilities, we have parks, we have got gardens, we have squares, then we have got what we call pockets. Like for example, we have got African Square, it's a square, we have got Orange Square. Those are squares. It's a sort of recreational facilities surrounded by buildings. Then we have got gardens like Harare Gardens, whereby we have within that recreational facilities we've got different gardens which we have. For example, in our gardens, we have got what we call the Blinds Garden, the Vic Falls Gardens, the Christmas Gardens. That is the reason why it's called the Harare Gardens. It's not one garden, it's gardens. Then we've got what we call pockets. These are small parks which are not gardens. Then we also have pure gardens which can stand on their own. And if you check with most of our properties, that's where we got most of the gardens. Right? So in generally, what we have got recreational facilities in that category, in that group, that is of facilities. We've got gardens, pockets, and so forth.
Council wants to ensure that sanity prevails in the building of houses in the Harare metropolitan area, and also ensure that the issue of land barons allocating parcels of land to unsuspecting ratepayers becomes a thing of the past.